Thank you everyone so much for your time, and I'm honored to be here. My name is Rich Marianos, and what I'm going to talk to you today about is something that may not be on your radar screen, because I'm going to tell you what, it was never on mine. It's the new face of organized crime, and it's criminal tobacco trafficking, specifically regarding the manufacture of vapes from China, manufactured by Chinese organized crime, that are coming into the United States at the rate of 8 out of 10 of these vapes that are being produced worldwide are being manufactured by Chinese organized crime, and they're making over $300 billion a year on the backs of our children, on each of our nations, and on one another that are contributing to one of the biggest crime models, as I will go through my presentation to explain to you. Next slide, please. A little bit about myself. Like I said, my name is Rich Marianos. I worked as the assistant, I retired as the assistant director with ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Retired, like I said, as the assistant director after about 30 years on the job. That was enough for me. But traditionally, I was a gang crimes, gun, shooter guy. I wanted to go after the shooters in the community, the arms traffickers, the high-value targets. And never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that these individuals would be such high-value targets in the United States and in our role on terrorism, money laundering, and even in first-line law enforcement activity. What I'm most blessed with right now is my current role as a professor at Georgetown University, where I teach in a program called Understanding Intelligence Concepts, where I'm directly work with those in the intelligence field worldwide, where I work on different scenarios and different packages to give them real-life investigations or real-life details in which they can work these cases, whether they come back to your countries or they work domestically in the United States, if I may. Part of our network is designed to, again, focus on tobacco crimes. Years ago, prohibition was a big part of the United States framework in terms of enforcing the Volstead Act of 1934. Well, now it's much different. And I think we realize that prohibition in the United States does not work. And this is a problem we have now in terms of these Chinese vapes that are being manufactured overseas and brought into this country through illegal wholesalers and being sold at these vape shops throughout the country and preying on our kids in our communities. Part of our network that's important to understand is it's a select group of enforcement people, along with school counselors, along with school resource officers, designed to, what I say is the old, for those of you that are football fans, for all those who understand the old Al Davis principle. I get the best players in the right positions to cover the right people. So the people that are part of our network are the best and the brightest that can deal with this problem and understand the capacity and what we're dealing with. As I said before, 8 out of 10 of these products that are criminally trafficked are coming from China, and they're being manufactured by Chinese organized crime, which is the Red Chinese Army. If you can go to the next slide, please. I'm going to probably do better if I pull this up. Excuse me. What we consider very, very important in our war against these illegal Chinese organizations, because again, when we talk about a $300 billion organization worldwide, is the broken windows theory. Those of you that don't understand it is very plain and simple. These shops are infiltrating our communities worldwide, selling these illegal products and engaging in other criminal activity. Right now in the United States, brick and mortar shops are closing at a record rate. People are moving to the internet. Places are closing all over the place because of the economy. But these vape shops are coming around at unbelievable amounts. Everywhere you go, you cannot go but see some of these vape shops pop up. And they're not shops like mom and pop organizations. They're criminal organizations that are working in concert with the cartels, with other organized crime street gangs, with other organized crime worldwide to launder money, terrorist organizations. Just recently in Laredo, Texas, the police in the Texas Bureau of Public Safety hit one of these locations, these vape shops, in which they dug a tunnel, or they were attempting to dig a tunnel across the border to smuggle humans, as we've talked about earlier, weapons, vape products, and currency. So these shops are a direct result of making money off organized crime. But again, it starts with something you would think it's so benign of just tobacco, which we'd never seen before. But if you take a look at some of the slides that are up here, some of the things that we brought up, you know, multiple arrests in tri-state areas, arrests and searches all in different counties. It has to start at our lowest level to begin to disrupt and diffuse these locations. We are not, as any of our nations, going to tackle the Chinese organized crime group or the Red China Army or the Chinese government in the midfield. It's not going to happen. It's too difficult. When we were with ATF, we had a guy dead to rights, but we couldn't extradite him. He was trafficking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of counterfeit product, but we just couldn't get him in United States soil or soil to do the extradition. But the only way that we're finding that we can beat these dragon back, as I may say, is to go after, and the demand right now is these products being shipped into our country. Some of these shops, like I said, are being trafficking guns. They're trafficking narcotics. They're trafficking synthetic narcotics like Kratom, Delta 8, Whippets, all of these things that have not been deemed illegal by the FDA, but are out there preying on our children. And we constantly say, as a government, that China is our #1 national security issue. But if they're our #1 national security issue, we have to put our money where our mouth is and go after some of these organizations in a bipartisan approach to protect our children and to go after organized crime. Ladies and gentlemen, jail works. And it has worked many, many, many times in other initiatives. But it needs to be taken on in this position where we go after these shops and we go after the money that is being funneled overseas to our greatest threat of national security. And when we're talking $300 billion a year they're making, this is not a mom and pop operation. This is a sophisticated organized crime group. Like I said, that is responsible for 8 out of 10 of the products that are manufactured worldwide. Now, you'll hear rhetoric of the industry or the convenience stores or people all over the world that are involved in the vape business. The statistics show who is behind it when 8 out of 10 is Chinese organized crime. When vapes first came out, I'm not a smoker, I'm not an advocate, but look, it was designed for tobacco harm reduction, to get people away from smoking. But now it has turned into a tool for organized crime and organized criminals. And we need to pay attention to it, and we need to get in front of it. Here are some examples of how they're marketing to the community and the children. Some of these Hydra or some of these cartoon characters are directly being put together in order for the young adults to get addicted and hooked on these nicotine products without impunity. Some of these, look at Hydra, 5,000 puffs, or some of these cartoon figures. That's not designed for adult tobacco harm reduction. That's designed to addict our kids and funnel more money to organized crime. Next slide, please. If we look online at some of these sites that are, again, targeting these communities or coming into your country, we have places like Heaven's Gift, straight out of China, or madeinchina.com. But it is so easy for people in our respective countries to order these things and be able to sell them on the street and continue to fuel this worldwide problem. And it's right under our noses, and it's something that we need to pay attention to. Next slide, please. These are some of their marketing techniques. We spoke earlier about the dangers of the cell phone and the dangers of social media. This is one of the ways that they're doing it in addition. It's not just human trafficking. It's not just the sale of narcotics. It's also designed to become predators to our children and our society, to ingratiate themselves in our way of life through our cell phones, to give people the opportunity to buy these products and allow those who are trafficking contraband, or to allow those that are money laundering, to allow those that are working in concert with the cartels. It is giving them more money. And throughout my career, you want to stop organized crime, you want to stop a war machine, go after the money, go after the communication. You're going to be able to do it. These are two ways right now that we need to grasp onto these things. Next slide, please. And they're found everywhere. If you look all over the United States, you can see these retail products being sold on the shelves. Now, recently, I have to say that the government has jumped in the United States, and thank you very much, the water's warm, I tell people, because now the FDA has taken a strong move in terms of prohibiting these products being sold on the shelves. Because for the longest time, these were 100% contraband. Just in the last several months, the administration, in a bipartisan effort, has gotten together in giving law enforcement over $200 million to fight these traffickers. But it cannot just be done alone. The money has to come out of this 202 area code, and it has to go down to the people on the streets that are fighting this effort. The slide I showed before is important because you could see different sheriff's departments, different police departments, different law enforcement entities that are actually going out to these locations and making the moves on these traffickers and putting them out of business. But what we need to understand is the money is great, but it is one step towards a greater initiative, and the greater initiative has to be to get it into the communities, the educators, and the people that are going to do something with it to put a stop to it. Next slide, please. And not only are they preying on our children and our young adults in our communities with these products, but the delivery systems. If you take a look at these delivery systems, I'm going to step off the stage, I'll talk loud. These are highlights. Because it's not just enough. It's not just enough. But when you take more money, creating things that can use these products and food, the athleticism, the sports, around the area. Anything in which they can do is hide this addiction that's being started all the way up from Chinese organized crime down to the very next slide. You ever hear me scream I hope? Again, there's one man, the godfather of Chinese days. He runs a company called Heaven's Gift. But again, as many of us cannot do, we cannot touch this individual. So we had to come up with the brightest strategies and the best ways to do so. And if it's disrupting the marketplace and putting people in jail, then that's what we need to do. Or going up to the wholesalers to cut the money off, that's what we need to do. But when we have these people identified and we're working with impunity from across the internet and across the United States and across your countries, we need to figure out creative ways to put them out of business. And that's what we've part of our network does, working with law enforcement, working with politicians, securing the $200 million and making sure it gets to the communities. Next slide, please. Again, the Daily Mail, it talks about President Trump and urging work against the Vape King. The Vape King is an individual out of Florida. He has relationships with Gaza. Oh, thank you. But again, these are the type of products that you can see. Lost Mary, individual that was out of Safra Goods out of New York, making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars every week by dumping these products out with direct ties to Gaza. Next slide, please. The National Youth Tobacco Survey, it shows that more and more kids are being addicted to these things, and more of these young adults are being driven by these, with 1.63 million kids using vapes. And that's one of the reasons our network has to have school counselors, school resource officers, because we just can't fight this with handcuffs. We can't fight this by locking people up. We need to educate, and we need to get the right people, the educated people who are getting the information from these young adults and going after the targeted shops, the targeted wholesalers, and stopping that flow on our streets. The FDA commissioner, like I said, these slides are a little old, but they've come across with getting us monies, which is very important. I don't see a dime of it. Many of us don't see a dime. But if I can see one police department getting $10,000 towards an enforcement strategy, towards getting a group of people to get overtime to hit these locations, I'm a happy man, and you should be happy also, because we're doing something for the betterment of our communities. Here was just a recent article by RFK Jr., but what was nice about what he says is they put their money where their mouth is, and they just did an Operation Vapor in the United States in which they seized $260 million worth of illegal products directly coming from China to O'Hare Airport in Chicago. That made a dent. That created a problem for them. And we need to continue to figure out creative ways in our combined efforts to make it a problem for them and to stop the money supply. Next slide, please. What's important is three things mostly. Is we need to come up with authorization. And what I talk about as authorization is to define what is legal and what is illegal. And the funny part of this whole conversation is there is only 40 products of all these 900,000 in the world that are deemed legal by the United States, by the FDA. So you could actually go out there with one sheet of paper, write down the 40 products that are illegal and hit everything else. Enforcement. We talked about what's important in enforcement. We've got to lock people up. People need to go to jail. Jail works. And I'll give you an example working with a sheriff's department out west. We went and hit several locations. We as police, not I anymore. Those days are long gone. But they went to hit several locations, and by the time they hit the fifth and sixth location, they were communicating with one another via WhatsApp, talking to one another that the police are hitting the shops, and talking to one another overseas on how to stop these products being brought into San Francisco Airport, that law enforcement is wise to them. So it's several means of communication which allows this criminal amoeba to exist. And finally, transparency through intelligence to work with one another to identify what these problems are. On the lowest level, some of the intelligence we work on is if a young adult gets caught, we don't punish the child because that's not going to solve the problem, but figure out a way we can educate them and give us the information on what store they're getting from, but all the way to the highest level in which we can take the intelligence of these scores at O'Hare Airport, trace where it's being manufactured or what site it's coming from, and hit it with some litigation if we have to, or hit it with some enforcement with Customs and Border Protection, and take these guys out of the supply chain and stop those products from coming into each of our countries. We talked a little bit about the directory. We can move past that. What is happening just in the United States, is give you an example, is 3 states we just use up here, Alabama, Louisiana, and Oklahoma. They have a directory of what is illegal and what isn't, which allows local law enforcement or which allows legislators to go after some of these products. If I was king of the world, I would love to see a worldwide directory to put all these illegal Chinese products on a worldwide directory, where there would be worldwide criminal contraband. We talked a little bit about the law enforcement grant, how they, when the sheriffs went in and took this stuff, they were communicating on WhatsApp overseas within hours about shipments that were going to the San Francisco airport. And the bottom line goal here is product verification and compliance with safety standards. We want those directories. We want to reduce administrative burden on law enforcement by getting the money to them. Don't let it sit here, please. If there are any of you that are legislators and can give us a hand in ensuring that money gets out, I would be so grateful. Because, again, it needs to be to the people out there that are working and to protect our communities and our governments. Empower law enforcement with their tools. You can go back on that one more time. We talked about preventing and eliminating the product. We saw the slide. Look what they're marketing to. Look what they're doing with these things. They're marketing to kids. There's not one thing towards tobacco harm reduction when you have The Simpsons or a product with 5,000 puffs. They're marketing to a whole generation that they're taking advantage of. And we have the opportunity now to get in front of it with proactive, preventative intelligence. And that's what we want to do. Get in front of these things. Never take a step back like we did on the war on drugs, but get in front of these things. And then finally, create a level playing field for compliance retailers to follow the law. For those that are selling tobacco harm reduction products, great, that's what it was designed to do. That's what it was. That's what the regulations are. But for those that are committing criminal offenses, and I say this in many presentations, and I said it on television recently, crime hits everybody. We need to hit back, and this is a chance for us to do so. Next slide, please. These are our addresses. Please reach out, whether it's X, Facebook, Twitter. You're more than welcome at any time to sign up and get all the information you may need. If you're interested also, come see me. I'll give you a card, take down your information. I have a bunch of different pamphlets that we put together for this. Right now we're creating, in the midst of a virtual vape shop, believe it or not, where for some of these people that don't understand the problem can walk right in, and it's worldwide, whether you're in Belgium or you're in Beaumont, Texas, where you can go in and you can click on the various things, and at which time it'll tell you what is in there, what does it mean, and how does it relate to criminal activity. Yes, sir. That's in Belgium? Denmark. Thank you. The man brought up a good point, and I'm just going to reiterate what you said for those of you who didn't say. But there are compliance moves that you can make that are very, very successful, where they're actually going in with the young adults in his community and identifying some of these stores that are selling these criminal products and then shutting them down. Hitting them with license violations, chaining the doors, putting them out of business, which are very, very successful in his country, which is a lot of money for some of these kiosks because they're $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 in American currency. But you have to be creative, and that's what I'm asking you all to think of. We don't need to put another dime in the hand of the Red Army and Chinese organized crime. They're killing us. They're killing our kids. This is an opportunity where we can identify that much money and do something about it with not a gigantic effort. We have to be creative. Any other questions? Anybody else want to add something? I've taken up a lot of your time, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity, and I appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Joe Camel that was created. It took 9 years in order for that to go away by RJR Nabisco. Either the news was better back then or it's less now, but why isn't there the public outcry today like there was yesterday in terms of killing our kids or using cartoon characters or anything else? It was a lot stronger back then.
In my most politically correct voice, I cannot get people interested enough to understand this. And it's sad, you're absolutely right. Because we've talked to different news agencies, we've offered them the videos. We have one video specifically in which an individual from a terrorist organization is trading products for automatic weapons. We have the news, we have the ability, but this is what I'm told, it's not sexy enough. It doesn't point the finger at somebody enough. It's not as entertaining enough. It's not a I gotcha moment. So it's venues like this in which you have to get the message out. That's how I met Mr. Boggs. I went to a HIDTA conference, and in a room like this, I went to all these law enforcement executives and people that have all these high-level contacts and did it. And that's what this organization tries to do, where we hit school conferences, PTAs, law enforcement conferences. We'll talk to the Martians if they want to listen. But I agree with you, it has to be a combined effort where we put pressure on what is important and what isn't important. Like last night I was watching the news and one of the stories was Martha Stewart decided where she wants to be buried. Are we kidding ourselves? That's news? This is news. $200 million towards enforcement. That is news. Chinese addicting our kids. People taking vape shops and digging tunnels to work with the cartel. That's news. And we have to start changing that dynamic too and putting pressure on turning it off. Because this is the way we're going to get it done. And I'm committed to this grassroots movement. Like I said, if you would have told me 20 years that I'd be talking about tobacco products, I'd laugh at you. I'm a gun guy, man. I'm chasing down people with 2 guns. Now, this is a much more sinister problem. Anything else? I've taken up a lot of your time. You probably think I'm a crazy man up here. I'll be around. Please let me know if I can help you in any way. I would be honored to give you any of the documents or to work with you. Like Mr. Boggs will tell you, there's no hidden agenda here. It's 100% transparency. And we're blessed right now to have some people that are helping us and supporting us and working with us. And all we're looking for is to get that message out. So thank you so much.